Boom, we are live on YouTube. You see it, Chris?
Crap, I don't have to drive.
You don't have to drive, you freaking wuss. Goddamn wuss. Wuss, you gotta drive. You've been driving for 26 years, driving a cruiser, and you're crying about driving here. Goddamn broad. Jesus, Chris. Cut the crap. So, hello. Oh, God. Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well, and thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you that haven't linked on, so today Chris is going to be at home. He's at home today. He's got to bang out some personal stuff, so you could hear him. I'm trying to get him on the TV, but I really don't know what happened. I had him on it, and now YouTube took over the whole screen. But hold on, Chris. Go ahead. Give a shout out. I want to see if I can screw it. I do, because I want to master this crap. I don't want to half phase this crap. I want to see what we can do. Boom. Look at that, Chris. I might have been able to do it. Oh my God. You're on my screen, bro. You're on my screen, bro. Look at that. Who says an illiterate couldn't handle this? Who said that, Chris? Look at that, brother. Look at that. Damn. So here we go. We got Chris on the screen now. Now I can see his mug. So listen, good morning, Chris. Good morning. So I hope you're doing well, brother. So listen, all right. Here there, folks. Welcome to Security Tales. I'm Felipe, and you see Chris on the screen today. Chris is at home today. He had some stuff he needed to take care of. So listen, we're coming from Boston, and today we're diving into a hot topic, the clash between Harvard and the Trump administration. This isn't just about one school. It's about the future of higher education in America. And I'm here to tell you what I think Trump's stance worth supporting. Little plug, please subscribe to at Security Tales. We need to get more subscribers on. So let's get some subscribers on. So I'm gonna pause for the effect, Chris. So I know this morning me and you were discussing, wanted to know where we wanted to go at it. And usually we're prepared like a week ahead. You know what I mean? We're always together. But this thing popped up because my wife was basically like, "Oh, did you see that thing about Harvard?" So I was like, "No, I did not." So I want to set up the scene, right? Before we start our discussion. Now, here's the scene being set up. Harvard, right? And I'm looking right at you, Chris. Harvard, with its 53.2 billion endowment, okay? The largest in the country, is making headlines for refusing to bend to Trump's administration demands. They've been asked to eliminate diversity, equity, inclusion programs, and ban masks at campus protests and implement a merit-based admission. But Harvard's president, and excuse me if I say it wrong, Alan M. Garber, said no way. He's standing firm on independence and constitutional rights. So before we get further, because when I was discussing it with someone else, so I also, before me and you start to talk, I wanted to break down what diversity, equity, and inclusion means, because my company is underneath that in SDO, so minority owned company, my security company. It means a little more different things than that, but what they're referring to is diversity refers to the representation of different identities, and backgrounds within a group, including race, ethnicity, gender, and more. Equity means ensuring fair treatment, access, and opportunity for all individuals, recognizing that not everyone starts from the same place. Equity means ensuring fair treatment, access, and opportunity for all individuals, recognizing that not everyone starts. Oh, I already did that. Sorry. Chris, you're supposed to catch me on that one. Inclusion is about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and respected, allowing full participation little plug, please subscribe to securitytales.com. I mean, .com, Security Tales. So, Chris, what do you think about this so far? Before I wanted to open up with the band mass part first. So can we touch base on the band mass? Because I found that very interesting. Saying that COVID is gone now. Did I believe in that also? The answer is no. But let's start out with this mass thing. What do you think about that?
I think it should be the person's personal choice. You want to wear a mask, that doesn't affect me. You want to make me wear a mask, that affects me. The mask is protecting you. It's not really, so that should be your choice. I mean, and we all, this COVID thing was blown out of proportion, and it was just basically another type of cold or flu. And you should be able to make your own choice.
See,
whenever possible, people should be able to make their own choice.
See, now here's the problem with you, what I'm going to say, and I'm going to disagree with you. Unbelievable disagree with you. I'm not even looking at the COVID and saying they're wearing masks for that. So to me, I want to discuss the banning of the mask at protest, because I believe, and also I believe they believe it, that allowing masks can create a barrier of accountability. That's how I feel. So when people are masked, it becomes difficult to identify in individuals who might engage in disruptive or violent behavior. So the administration argues that transparency is crucial in maintaining a peaceful and respectful dialogue on campuses. They see this as a way to encourage responsible behavior and ensure the protests remain civil. Now, I know, and I know you know this, Chris. I feel when people cover up, they tend to cause greater crime because the failure to be identified is large. You can't see someone, you can't freaking identify who they are. You could say, I saw Felipe running around with a black handkerchief on. The first thing they're going to say is, how'd you know it was Felipe? Did you see his face? Well, I saw this, I saw that, but anyone could be there. So I believe the mass part is more or less not about COVID, but about hiding behind something that you're going to cause something to happen. So remember when they had the protests in Boston that occurred? And all the people that were defacing public buildings and everything all had masks on, but the other people that were just doing civil sit downs, they didn't have a mask on. They were just sitting there protesting. But all the ones that had the masks on were the ones running around causing damage.
I don't think you're actually so much disagreeing with me that much. I'm saying that it should be whatever person's choice. He or you are saying that they should be forced to take it off. That would be a lot more difficult. So you're coming in for a demonstration, and somebody comes in, and I understand what you're saying about the mask and that, but somebody comes in wearing a mask, and you're going to tell that person you have to take that mask off in order to come here. That will be a little bit harder to do.
See, I would be
like,
personally my
dick or whatever.
Yeah, my way of doing it is, okay, hey, come on in. I'm checking you. You're here for the protest. Okay, you got to wear a mask. I need a picture of your face. Drop the mask, take a picture, load it up. What do you got for a mask on? Take a picture of it and have it up file. Keep your mask on now. Go ahead. But now I know who's going to be there, and I know who's going to be able to be identified.
Easier said than done when if the protest has 3, 4, 5,000 people, easier said than done. And yeah, without a doubt, I said that back during COVID, when people, you put a sweatshirt on, baseball hat, sunglasses, wear a mask, and fucking walk into any store you want and rob them, and they're not going to think twice until the gun's in their face. But yeah, I mean, it was a bad idea, but I just think it would be hard to identify people in an ideal situation. And I think it would be hard when somebody comes in and says, you have to take off the mask.
Yeah. And then you look at it, it's not even just about the mask. If you look at the results, the Trump administration has frozen over $2 billion in funding. That's a serious hit to projects. So I was looking at all different things that go on from Harvard. So this guy named Donald D. Ingberg Research are already feeling the pinch. This isn't just about money. It's also about accountability and whether these elite institutions should be held to the same standards as everyone. Why do people say that?
How pompous of you to say that, not you, them, him,
Yeah.
that an elite organization shouldn't be held to the same standards as everybody else.
Well, and that's why I'm asking, how do you have the audacity to say, because you're Harvard, not Middlesex Community College, we should be held at a prestigious, it's a college. And I understand it's Harvard, but it's still, come on, bro. I think when you say shit like that, it's like that's being pompous.
Yeah, same standards. Don't feel sorry for you. No, you should be held to the exact same standards as everybody else. And it's not right. It's not right that they think they can get away with it. I don't care who you are. I just, back to our premise, everybody should be treated equally.
Yeah, well, and I think about what they state about diversity in all those different inclusions that they have. That sounds like you're not actually doing what you say you stand by. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're putting yourself at a higher hierarchy, and you're not actually proving yourself to be what you're fighting for, by making a statement like that to me. But, and it's funny because we were talking about schools and stuff, and I said, I was thinking to myself, it doesn't things that don't get enough attention. Why aren't we seeing protests from community colleges? These schools serve a huge portion of our population, right? Students who are often the backbone of their communities, but the big names like Harvard and Princeton getting all the spotlight. Why is that, man?
Partially because they're the ones bitching because they're a private university. I would not go after public universities for this kind of stuff. So they're the one, and they're the most outspoken. They're the most outspoken, and they have the most to lose. I don't think Mass Bay has an endowment.
Now, why would you say that? You don't think they have an endowment, or you just guessing?
I said I don't think they have an endowment of too much. I'm sure they have an endowment, but I don't think it's $53 billion.
Yeah,
Or
53.
close to that.
Listen, bro, I believe Trump is right. Listen, and I know what, and
Me too. I took a class at Mass Bay.
no, hey, listen, I got no shame. Hey, listen, it took me freaking 23 years to graduate college, so I got nothing to say. But I believe Trump is right, and to challenge these elite institutions. They've been operating with certain level of privilege, which you just basically stated, Chris, and it's time to hold them accountable. The government shouldn't be afraid to demand changes, especially when it comes to issues like anti-sism. I'm trying to make sure I say that word right, bro. Semitism. Anti-Semitism. Semitism. These big words kill me.
So bad, I couldn't
and captain and listen, and campus activism. It's about ensuring the taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely and that our universities prioritize education over activism. So it seems like they're not, but yet you brag and you just said it. These prestige schools, these affluential schools, because of the names and everything they hold. So you think the laws should change because of this, because of who they are compared to other schools?
No, I agree. I mean, the only debate we have is on a mask. I agree. I think the private universities should pay taxes. Should pay taxes on their money. Should pay taxes on the money they get. Should pay taxes on the interest. I mean, the interest on $53 billion is got to be like freaking $2 billion a year, or like 5%.
Oh, Chris.
Taxed on that.
Oh, Chris, you got to hear this though. Let's not forget Harvard's endowment, bro, is growing. It jumped from 50.7 billion, right? 50.7 billion, brother, to 53.2 billion. And guess how long? Guess how long, Chris, it took them to grow 3.2 billion?
Less than a year.
Yeah, just 1 year. Just less than 1 year. So they've got the resources. Hold on, but they got the resources to make changes, yet they choose to push back. This tells us that they're more committed to their agenda than to the students they serve. Oh, you had to bring the big guy on, huh?
Gotta bring the dog in. Yeah, no, at 5% interest, and you know they're not getting 5%, 53 billion is like 2.5 billion a year. And that doesn't account other add-ons and more money that they're giving you. And on a side note, Middlesex Community College's endowment is $1.1 million.
Who?
Middlesex Community College, they have an endowment of $1 million.
I think that's an incredible for a community school. In saying
I wish they had more. I mean,
well,
that's like a day's interest for Harvard.
Yeah, but I'm sure people that graduate from Harvard are making $200 million compared to us that graduated from Middlesex's that make not even close to that.
I think after this, you should write them a check.
I'm thinking the same, Chris. Why not? Go big or go home.
They got you where you are.
Oh.
Hey, another side note. I know we're talking about taxes, but in my little scanning crap, Harvard and all those universities, 1,700 of them, 1,700 universities, all in prime real estate, don't even pay property taxes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Imagine the property taxes on Harvard's buildings in Cambridge. It'd be 10, 100 million. I mean, imagine what that could do for Cambridge and Boston.
And don't the deans and the professors live there for free? I know at MIT they did. I know MIT they stayed in the dormitories and they grabbed, like, you should see their places. They're like 4,000, 5,000 square feet of mansion and they're incredible. They don't pay. They don't pay at all.
I would think that's probably a temporary thing because it's not like they can.
I don't know, Chris. I was there for 4 years, and the guy that was in Next House must have been there for 15 years before I was there. He was the ex-dean. Beautiful place too. So yeah. So like I wasn't only sticking to Harvard about this. I was also looking at the responses of other universities that occurred. And the other universities that I found pretty interesting as I was looking was Columbia is negotiating with the feds, Columbia University, right? And Stanford has voiced support for Harvard. But why aren't we seeing more unity from the whole educational system? Community colleges should be in this conversation too. They're just as important as these elite schools, and their voices need to be heard. Like, I don't understand it. It seems to be only certain schools, but everybody else is just like, we agree. I can't break that out of my head.
Yeah, well, they should say, hey, how about tax them and send the money to us? And because I know they're offering free college to people now. It was one of Healy's things, free college, but it was free college, like to the community colleges, if you make under a certain amount of money. You tax those colleges, everybody could go to college for free.
Huh. I didn't know that. I mean, yeah.
So you can go to, like, was it Bunker Hill? You can go to Bunker Hill Community College now for free if you make under a certain amount of money.
But I think Harvard's doing it in other Ivy League schools. You have to make under 200,000 a year. I think their cutoff was. You might want to look that up, but I'm pretty sure they just did it. It was like either your family needs to make under $200,000 in order to go there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it should be given to everybody, not so much Harvard because you're not going to get in there, but the community colleges, everybody should be given, a free, you get a free startup like that. That's not bad, and then you decide to get a graduate degree. That's on you. But
so let me ask you, Chris, because I didn't even put this in my footnotes, but I'm wondering now, what is endowments actually made for? And why would you be able to save up that much money if, like, it doesn't seem like $53 billion, right, could be built that fast? So my question is, what do you actually spend that money on? What your goal is to have 1 trillion? I'm trying to figure it out in my head.
Well, what they probably use it for is like capital improvements, which just makes the university bigger, better, and more valuable. So, for example, they want to buy another building. They want to buy a building in Cambridge, which is going to cost tens of millions of dollars, right? They want to expand. They want to get bigger.
Yeah.
So they're going to use that endowment to get bigger. Now think about the two sides of this coin. So they buy whatever a building in Cambridge for $100 million. The guy, they bought that building from you. You're paying taxes on that building, right? They sell it to Harvard for $100 million from their endowment. They pay for it out of their endowment. They get bigger, and Harvard gets bigger and better. And now on the other side of the coin, the city of Cambridge just lost the tax base on a $100 million building because it went from you, who pay taxes, to Harvard, who doesn't pay taxes. So as Harvard expands, Cambridge's revenue goes down, which affects Cambridge and affects everybody who lives there, because if Cambridge gets less money, that means they got to get more money from the people who are left.
So Chris, because I found that so interesting, that because we were talking about the endowment, I wanted to see what Harvard spent their money on the endowment. The only documentation I have so far is of 2024. Harvard University's endowment primarily supported financial aid and scholarships, faculty positions, and scientific research, which throws me off because I thought faculty gets paid, I thought you said, from the Fed. So I don't understand how they're spending for it. But it also says, I'm almost done. It also says they granted $749 million in financial aid and scholarships. The endowment returns are used to support a wide range of activities, including student aid, faculty, they keep saying faculty positions, research, the arts, and community programs. A portion of the endowment is distributed annually to support the university's budget with an annual payout target. You ready? Of 5.0 to 5.5% of market value. Wow.
Of the endowment. Yeah. So 120 of the endowment. So to clarify on that, I said the Feds paid for the employees. So, well, actually, quickly, where's all the tuition money go? I would think that would go towards the professors and all that other stuff. So what I was saying is that because the Feds are giving Harvard $9 billion, for research, which pays for the guys doing the research. I was saying, technically, the government's paying for those employees. Of course, Harvard's paying them, but by giving them the $9 billion, they're able to do that research. And the other side note on that is, so say, for example, Harvard's research in cure cancer, which I'm sure they are. Harvard, because it's getting paid for by the federal government, Harvard cures cancer, right? They find a cure for cancer. That's worth $1 trillion, $2 trillion, right?
Yeah.
But the Fed sponsored that research. Who gets the money from, the cure for cancer? I'd say Harvard. So now Harvard makes some special drug or cures some really bad thing, then they sell it. Harvard gets the money, whereas the Fed was the one paying for the research. That doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't.
The Fed is you. The Fed's you and me.
Yeah, right. I'm still confused by all of it, to be honest with you. I think the standoff raises serious questions. I feel the universities should be allowed to dictate their own policies. If they're receiving federal funding, I say no. Okay. Because I don't think you're better than any other college where you can dictate your own policies from federal and state laws, right? It's time for accountability. We need to ensure that all students, regardless of where they study, are in the environment that fosters genuine learning without the distractions of political agendas. And I think that's what's happening right now is people are using politics in order instead of schooling. Like I'm hearing people now going, oh, I couldn't make it to class because Trump got elected for president. I'm stressed out. And like they're giving people the allowance of not completing their work and stuff. Now I know people are going to be like, oh, that's bull. No, how about I know 3 people that their kids that happened to because they were stressed out. Trump got elected. And they basically were told, don't worry about it. We understand what you're saying. So I do know people that's happened to. And also, did you see at 11 p.m. last night, it was posted on the commentary on the Boston thing. So, Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, is threatening to yank Harvard's ability to enroll international students if they don't cough up records on these students' so-called illegal and violent activities. Can you believe that? So these people were ahead of protesters that were causing damages to schools and inciting different types of, instead of just having, your protest or whatever, they were actually kicking it up and they have proof. But the schools now are saying, yeah, see you later. We're not giving you the information. She also wrote that it's like wicked scattered letter demanding detailed records on Harvard's foreign students, visa holders, activities by April 30th of 2025. And if they don't comply, they're facing an immediate loss of their student and exchange visitor program, their SEV program that they had, and that certification they got. What do you think of that?
I think that's a whole nother freaking podcast about whether or not we should allow, and nothing against people from other countries, but you allow people from other countries come here. So, for example, our adversaries, China, India, countries like that. So they come here, they learn and get super smart, right? Going to MIT, Harvard, Stanford, all those, and they bring that knowledge. And Trump's actually mentioned that they bring that knowledge back to their country.
Yep.
We want that knowledge to stay here. We don't want to train some nuclear engineer in China and then he goes over there. He brings all their knowledge and so that they can take advantage of the knowledge that we taught them. A quick thing on property taxes and stuff before we move on. So Bloomberg, which is a financial news company, they said Harvard's tax burden for 2023 would be $500 million. So $500 million what they would have to pay in taxes. And then Harvard's status as nonprofit means it doesn't pay property taxes on buildings. They have $4 billion worth of buildings and land in Boston and $9 billion worth of land and buildings in Cambridge.
Really?
That's freaking $13 billion taxes on $13 billion. And that's just one university out of 1,700.
So I don't know this whole thing. I'm highly interested to see where this is all going, because to me, I know you said you don't want to touch base on it, but think about it. The certification is a big deal, Chris, right? It's a huge deal because it lets universities issue forms to international students so they can apply for their visas to come to the US. It could really shake things up at Harvard if they don't get their act together. So I don't even know what to say. I just found that so interesting in a whole about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this could be life changing. If this goes through, because if Harvard falls, the rest of them are going to follow suit. I mean, we're looking for revenue, right? We're looking at these two things, right? You have a bank account. It's two ways to freaking balance your bank account. You get more revenue or you cut costs. If we're cutting costs and getting more revenue, we're going to, as a country, be better off a lot quicker.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, anything else to say on that, brother?
Nope. I'm very excited to see where it goes, and no, I don't feel sorry for Harvard. They're $53 billion in the bank.
All right.
You see some of those signs on those protests? That was some of the signs that said, actually, the people supporting Harvard were saying, say no to Trump, but, spend some of your money, spend some of your 53 million. Stop asking, because they're talking about laying people off. Well, instead of laying people off, spend some of your endowment. That's what it's for, right? Isn't?
Yeah. There you go. You just said. Yeah, you just said it. You know what made me laugh since you just said that? Individual the other day posted something on social media and I couldn't stop laughing. He was driving one of those Elon Musk those trucks, those ugly ass trucks. What are those trucks called? Cybertruck. And on the back of his Cybertruck, he had Elon Musk's name with a circle around it and an X put on it. And it says, I do not, and a sticker that says I do not support Elon Musk. But in my head, I'm thinking to myself, did you not just buy his truck for over $100 and something thousand dollars? And now you're putting signs on it to say you don't support him?
Smart.
To, how does that get you out of the fix, man? To me, I'd be like wrecking your truck if I was that kind of an activist, because to me, you still bought it, so you're still supporting it, you're still driving it.
No, what he's saying is he's trying to get his truck not wrecked.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's saying, I don't support Musk. I support green energy. So that's why I bought this truck, is, because I have green energy, but I hate Musk. So please don't wreck my truck.
So listen, Pete, you know what? Some people are so sad, bro. It's so sad. So let's wrap up things. We've explored significant conflict between Harvard and Trump administrator, the implications of the academic freedom, and the glaring absence of commonly college voices in this debate. Now, I want to hear from you all. What do you think about Trump's demands? What does academic freedom mean to you? And why aren't community colleges? And I'm stuck on community colleges, Chris, because I have so many friends and other individuals that have gotten older that have gone back to college, and they all go to community college. So I find it pretty interesting that they don't tell me any of these things that break out in these Ivy League schools. And I just find it strange, because they do have the same amount of students, I should say. It's not like they have 1,000 students. They have over 10 to 20,000 students. So why aren't these community college kids grouping together? So feel free to reach out on social media or leave a voice message on the YouTube station. Thank you for tuning in to Security Tales. Be sure to subscribe and join us next time for more discussion on crucial security and policy issues. Also, what I wanted to discuss is, I know today we're having it kind of short because I like to have Chris in here so I can, banter him and be all over him.
Come on, man.
But
I love
but
this. I can research. I love this.
but what we're gonna do is I'm planning on having a guest for us next week. She's a female divorce attorney, and she handles a lot of cases. And because I'm associated to so many people in law enforcement positions, and I've been noticing there's been a lot of divorce questions and separation things and things like that. I think, like it or not, to build a foundation and community of marriage, it's about family base, and you need that strong family base. And I understand not everything could work out, but I think it's a great opportunity to have someone not only being a well distinguished attorney, but also being a female attorney, which I think is which, please, no one be insulted by it, but I just think some types of jobs are male based, meaning that from the day we've been raised, that's all we saw were males in these positions. And not that we're taking it away from any female, but that's the way we've been raised, which I think is wrong, because I've been blessed for working for females. I've worked for a director. Her name was Catherine White, that has taught me so much in her basically one little finger, and gave me the ability to open up my own company for over 12 years. And I could gladly say, if it wasn't for her or my mother, who basically came from nothing, that took a job, didn't speak English well, and neither do I, right, Chris? But she bought a house in the 70s all by herself, paid it off in a very high influential community. And it's hard to see that back in those days that females, everybody that surrounds her has a male co-pilot. And to see someone do all of it on her own, and then to see females now in positions as judges, police officers, doctors, and we're so used to not seeing it that way. So, I think the world's changing, and it's sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And that's what I want to discuss.
All right, I got two questions for you because you like to ask me questions, so I want to ask you questions. First one's a rhetorical question.
Rhetorical.
So
rhetorical. Yes. Four syllables, honey. This is a big word.
Yeah. So how many, so there's whatever, little bit less than 1,700 private universities,
Okay.
including 2 4-year schools, the community colleges, all the other colleges out there. How many would you can take a guess if you want, but how many public universities, community colleges, any public university there are, just say for a number, there's 1,700 private. How many public would you think there are?
I'm gonna hate to guess this, but I'm gonna say definitely not more than 1,000. I'm gonna say probably 50.
See, no, in the U.S.
Oh, in the U.S. I'm sorry, I was thinking mass.
Yeah.
Okay, U.S. Once again, I wouldn't say more than 1,000, 2,000.
So I was going the other way because this is every community college. So I was thinking like $3,000, 3,000, 4,000, right? Because it's everything. But actually, it's 50 less. So it's like 1,626. It's 50 less public universities as private, which I thought there would be more. So think about taxing these would help the other ones, right? So everybody can go to school. And my other question, if you want, I ask you, because I said it may take on a life of its own, but you can just go yes, real quick, yes or no. Do you think we should allow people from other countries, whether adversarial or not, countries that we're competing with, what I was saying before, go to MIT, Harvard, come here and get educated and take that knowledge back to their country?
Well, like you said, you want just a yes or a no, and I will say yes, but I think it's going to be a broader conversation because I believe with that should be a stipulation. Now, both of our families, we're all from another country. So for me to tell you, I wouldn't want to see my cousins come here and have the ability to go to a school like that. But then the answer would be I would plainly lie to you. But the answer would be yes. I do believe they should have the rights to come here. But also, I believe, see, to me, it would be a larger conversation, meaning that there have to be some type of commitment. After your education comes here, you would have to work for an American school. You would have to pay back whatever it is. So I think there would be a much broader institute of different types of what's the word I'm looking for? Rights, I guess, would be like if you're gonna come here, there has to be a different plan. It can't be get educated here, become a doctor, leave, go back to wherever country you're from, and not pay back here. So if you're using our system, you should be held accountable for our system.
All right, we'll give it like a minute or two. I do have to agree with you. I have no problem with somebody coming here to get a business degree or in fact, even becoming a doctor. The other stipulation is once they get that, you can't, and they go back to their country, you'll never be able to force them to stay, and you'll never be able to force them to repay is the hard part.
Yes.
I guess the stipulation that I was looking at and the way I was looking at it more narrowly, but I do, you want to come here to get a business degree, great, that's fine. But you should pay. And the other thing is, I don't want somebody coming here from, a world power such as China. They come here from MIT, they learn nuclear engineering, and then they bring, that's the knowledge that I don't like bringing back.
As I stated, Chris, stipulations, certain stipulations.
Yeah,
it all depends.
It's like you can come here, but you can't go to you can't learn technology stuff, which would be very hard to enforce. But it's hard, because they'll bring all that. I mean, I would imagine hundreds, if not thousands, people from China come here and take our knowledge back. And trust me, there's going to be a conflict with China in the next 10 years. They already said they're taking back Taiwan.
Well, we know that, especially the semiconductor world and everything that's going on from there and all these different things that are occurring. So my argument isn't with you on that part of it, but to turn around and say that, we shouldn't. Oh, shoot. Did you see that one, Chris?
Yeah.
My big foot kicked it.
That's all right.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I agree, but I'm just scared that they are bringing back.
Sorry, everybody.
They're going to use to hurt us with later.
No, and I agree with you, but I think there's a larger conversation out of that, And I think it'll give it an opportunity, as always. People that are unable to go with us live, they tend to go on afterwards and ask us all these questions, which I want to we will touch base on, because I think next week, if everything works out well, we'll be blessed with having her as a guest, and we also have Peter DePisa from the Gentlemen's Club again. That's basically going to be coming on. Hopefully, he'll be bringing a guest on, and we'll set up some questions on that. But also, I want to end it on the Edgar Delgado thing. Sad to say, I don't even know what to say. Sad to say, period. Nothing. And this is going on almost a year now. God bless him and his family. And I'm so sorry that you guys still haven't heard anything about this case and whatever. But also, what I also want to touch base on is that arrest in South Boston, which I'm not done reviewing. So for those of you that are interested, there was an arrest that occurred last Thursday in South Boston where a mother lost her children, but I'm kind of confused between the fire department and the police department. Was it the case where they like going there, or weren't they going there? Hold on, Ray's calling at the same time. Ray, we're on podcast. What do you want?
Oh, I forgot it was Thursday.
Did you hear? Hold on. Did you hear that? This is Ray Earhart. He forgot it's on Thursday, Chris. Lucky for you, Ray. We're ending right now. Chris, anything to say to Ray?
Yeah, because today's Friday, right, Ray?
Chris, God bless. Happy Easter. All right, I'll talk to you later.
I'll hit you back afterwards later. I thought Ray was going to ask something good because he's not YouTube savvy. Instead, he's like, oh, I forgot. But look up that case because I would love to talk about that later on, or maybe rebook another day just to discuss it. But I think it would be pretty interesting conversation because it has to do with Boston Police Fire Department, a female mother, and transgenders that were in the building. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'll read about it.
Yeah, read about that. It's pretty interesting thing, and it's a little conflicted stories between all law enforcements and things. And then there was another thing that a gentleman asked me to look into, which is going to be something going on in Malden with playing with money in the department and stuff. So I'm looking into that too. So once again, I appreciate the suggestions, and we're definitely going to look into that. Thank you so much from Security Tales. For those of you that didn't catch it this early, please, when you do catch it, send us a review, hit that bell, get us more subscribers. We're looking to keep going on with this. If Chris doesn't get so lazy, it's not like he drives anymore, nothing, but he likes to sit behind his office desk and look professional, which, by the way, you don't. But
absolutely. Look at those college trees behind me.
Look at all those fake. I got those too. I got those off Amazon. Are you kidding me? I was waiting.
They came with mine came with the frame.
I was waiting.
I just bought the frame.
I was waiting for Tommy Titus to jump on and stop running his hole. Listen, everyone on Facebook, Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys have a blessed day, man. Thank you.
All right.
Well, hold on. I gotta hang up. I gotta hang up on the podcast. Oh, by the way, I gotta give a shout out to Radiant Medi Spa. Thank you so much. Had a little laser treatment yesterday on the face from Cindy. Never had that before. You gotta try that, bro. It causes new collagen and stuff to grow in the face. Love that stuff. A little pain once in a while is good. But thank you so much, everyone. You all have a blessed day.
All right. Have a great day.
All right.